So, ladies and gentlemen, I am absolutely delighted to be here today, along with my co-chair, Louis Mayberg, who is sitting right here, on what is pre-storm and dry, and by my view, a absolutely sunny, beautiful day. We originally were going to do this dedication outside, but as all of you walked in, you saw the mural, and that was what Louis was going to unveil with great drumbeat, but because Jennifer was afraid that the wind would blow it off and all that, you were able to admire it as we walked in. This is the culmination of what has been many, many years of work by many of us in the school, former parents that are not here today, and the community at large. It is an unbelievable thought that we now own this ground, for which we have to thank the county and the greater Jewish community, those who have really no affiliation with us other than tribal affiliation, who came on front of the city council and the county council to get this thing done. Many of you may not realize this is actually our 5th location. And to the best of my knowledge, it's the 2nd location that we've owned. Is that correct? We own, correct. We are 16th Street, which was close to my neighborhood, and now this location. And it is, from our point of view, it is our last location. When we put this together, Denny Berman and I discussed the fact that originally we couldn't buy the ground for 2 reasons. One, the county wasn't sure that they wanted to release it to us, and 2, we weren't sure we were going to be able to raise enough money initially in order to buy it, so we did the ground option, thinking that it was just mindless, that when we get the money, we would be able to buy the ground. So Denny said to me, well, one thing's for sure, with a 35-year lease, if we don't get the ground, it won't be our problem. The fear was we lived long enough where it would be our problem. Let me give you some background on how this came about. Back in around 1994, 95, there was an advertisement, a full-page advertisement in the Washington Post magazine, which I just happened to have seen by accident, that asked for an RFP for a public school, for potential users who needed a 200,000 square foot, or 216,000 square foot school on 20 acres. So, having experienced the old Hebrew Academy, my daughter going there and wondering, how it stayed up while she was there, why it wasn't falling down. A new school was something that was high on my list. So I called the office and had suggested for me, was it you that called this?
Before me.
Before you. That we should respond to the RFP. But really never thinking that it was going to come out, but you respond. So we responded to the RFP. Turned out there were 10 schools, private schools, that did respond to the RFP. And we were on a list. And eventually they came back and said they're going to have an inspection. So on the day of the inspection, I had to be out of town, but I had my brother-in-law, Denny, go through where I was going to go through with him. He went through by himself. That was good enough for me. And I asked him, give me a guess. How much will it cost to renovate? And he gave me a guess. And I said, well, how comfortable are you with that guess? And he said, I'm within 10%. I said, well, that's good enough for me. And so we knew that we could do it, and we knew I felt confident we could raise enough money, because I was drafted as chairman. I forgot to mention that part. Somehow, when you do a good deed and you notify the school of a possibility, and you're chairing the whole thing. Taught me a lesson, never to open my mouth.
Really?
So going through the school. Going through the school, this was a crime-infested facility. All the copper was stolen from the school. Anything of value was stolen. The roofs falling down. Some places were flooded. A lot of the people that went through the walk got scared off, and Denny, who was going to be our construction czar if we raised enough money to start, said no, this is good. We can do it. We can really do it. So now we have to negotiate. A lot of the schools fell out because they came through with their architects and their engineers. We came through with Denny Berman, who can do this, and is confident about it. And so now we had to begin negotiating. So we were now competing with two other facilities. I formed a committee, Jonathan Blank and Arnie Sherman and me, and we began to negotiate with the county, trying to beat out the other schools to make the best proposal. And we were just, really in the dark. We took our best shot, but eventually they came to us and said, no, you won, to our great surprise. So we actually signed our deal with the county on March 29th, 1996. That's when we signed. And our obligation was to start construction 1 year later, in 97. The bad news was we weren't successful enough to raise the money yet to give us the confidence to start construction. We had a certain number in mind because otherwise it would have been an incredible burden on us. So it took an extra year. The county gave us the space to do that. Thank you. The county gave us the space for that extra year, and we began construction August 1st, 1998. And for the next year after we began construction, this was Denny's office, and he really delivered this. So I know I thanked you 20 times. This is the 21st time. But the nice thing about him being here is he wasn't in the office and he didn't bother anybody. But we got this done actually under budget, and this is a really nice facility. I mean, this is really a nice facility, and we keep on improving. We actually moved into this facility in August '99. Classes began August 1999, and we had our first dedication on September 13th, 1999, and it was really remarkable, thinking that we were here from where we came. And first day of school, I was out there early in the morning, which is not my time for being somewhere, and watching these kids come up, and we all were kind of tearing up. It was really something. But we didn't own the ground, and it really was like a time bomb ticking in our heads, because we knew we only had 35 years, and what happens then? So here I thought it was an easy deal. We had raised the money to do this, or we had money that we thought we could grab to do this. I thought that we had it wired, that we had the county agreeing that we would exercise our option, and then something happened, the county couldn't do it. And then we did it a second time, and something happened, and we couldn't do it. And at that point, I just got disgusted. And then Larry, where are you, Larry? This gentleman down here, Larry, stand up and take a bow. And he and Benham saved the day, because he took it upon himself to deal with the county. The second time we tried doing it together, and then the third time you did it on your own. That he would get this done, and I said, "Good luck, and do it," and he did. So. So we bought the ground November, we settled on the ground November 2010, and we used money that we had in our reserve funds for maintenance and repairs for the buildings. We borrowed from ourselves in order to pay for it, because once the county gave us approval and the county executive signed off on it, we did not want to hold up the county. We made a deal, settle. So we did. So we settled with borrowed money from the school and also from the Avi High Foundation, where we borrowed $500,000 over a 5-year period. But we got it done. Now the bad news about all this is, next thing you know, I was drafted along with Louis to chair another fundraising campaign, which we're in right now, and Louis will be talking about where we are and what our status is on the fundraising campaign. But we all today come here representing the culmination of a dream. And this dream is only possible because this community and others in our greater Jewish community came together, along with the county executive and the county council, which Bonnie Colson is here representing the county council, and Dutchie. Dutchie was particularly valuable during that entire process. Particularly valuable. And
I enjoyed it.
And quite frankly, without your help, we would not be dedicating this today.
No, you helped yourself.
Thank you. The culmination of a dream. All of us together, all of us get credit for this. It's not a one-man, two-man, 10-man job. All of us, the entire community and the entire legislative community came together because everybody recognized that this was a benefit to the county, a benefit to this community, to the Aspen Hill neighborhood who totally supported us, a benefit to the alumni of the Perry High School who totally supported us, and a benefit for our kids coming up that need a quality facility for a quality education. So here we are. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We did it. Other than we have a little bit more money to raise. It'll be your turn soon, but I see next in line is Josh Levinson.
Thank you, Louis, and thank you all for coming. Michael. Brain freeze. Thank you, Michael. And thank you, Louis, also. And thank you all for coming. And thanks to so many of the people that Michael already mentioned, the Bermans and the Epsteins, Dutchie, Benham and Larry. Thanks and to so many of you in this room. The Melvin J. Berman Hebrew Academy has not just a location, not just a locale, but a home. And in Hebrew, the word for home is bayit. It's a very small 3-letter word, but it has so many facets. The word bayit means house, the building in which you reside and in which you make your home. But it means so much more, as many of you know. It connotes not just a physical place, but a spiritual home as well. In describing the utopian days of the Messiah, the prophet Yeshayahu proclaims in the name of God, Ki beiti beit tefillah yikareh l'chol ha'amim. My house will be called a house of prayer, a house of worship for all nations. And the term Shalom Bayit, which so many of you know, refers to the peace within the home. Not just the 4 walls of the building, but within the environment of the home and the sanctity of the family. Ultimately, the word bayit takes on meaning that has little to do with physical space. The monarchy, springing from the descendants of King David, becomes known as the House of David. And the people of Israel are occasionally called the House of Jacob. In this meaning, the house or home is now purely metaphorical. It is not just a building, it is for an actual home, but a legacy, a value system, a generational heritage that distinguishes one group from others around it. The house of Shammai and the house of Hillel, Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel, 2 of the greatest rabbinical scholars and 2 of the greatest legacies of Torah learning. Their students became their family, their home, their heritage. The 2 houses tussled with each other but remained true to the teaching of their mentors, their original houses of study, their original Batei Midrash. This week's Parsha presents to us one of the most compelling uses of the word bayit. As God finishes telling Abraham and Sarah that they will have children at the very improbable ages of 190, he has another piece of information that he chooses to share with Abraham. God reveals his plan to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, leading to the famous appeal by Abraham on behalf of these cities. Was this appeal a surprise to Hashem, to God? Look at the verse immediately preceding the announcement about Sodom. ואברהם היו יהיה לגוי גדול ועצום, ונברכו בו כל גויי הארץ. כי דתיו למען אשר יצווה את בניו ואת ביתו אחריו, ושמרו דרך השם לעשות צדקה ומשפט, למען הביא השם על אברהם את אשר דיבר עליו. Abraham will be a large and great nation, and all of the nations of the world will be blessed through him. Because I know that he will teach his sons and his house after him, and they will follow the path of God to do righteousness and justice, so that God will bring upon Abraham all that he has promised. Abraham's house, the one he sets up for eternity, is his real legacy. And it is the commitment of this house to justice and righteousness that earns him the vast promises from God. And no sooner does God say this than Abraham begins to provide the lessons for generations to come, by arguing with God and demanding that he may not destroy innocent people. We now have a permanent physical home, the Melvin J. Berman Hebrew Academy in Rockville, Maryland. This bayit is critical for us, for providing us the means to create another bayit, a legacy of Torah, of Jewish values, of mitzvot, and of righteousness and justice, not just to the 720 students here today, but to the generations of Jewish children who will come and benefit from our bayit. That is and will be the legacy of our home. Thank you.
Okay. I find I'm going to sing this. Benham, your turn.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. I'm Benham Dayanim, and for a short period of time, I have the privilege of being the president of Berman Hebrew Academy. This is short. No, this isn't short. It's
one more
That's
year.
what they say. Yeah, we'll see. But it is really a privilege, and it's a privilege because it's given me the opportunity to see and to help and see firsthand how dynamic and how extraordinary this school really is. I mean, we just heard from our headmaster, Josh Levison, whose vision really informs the school. We have a tremendous administrative team. Our principals are just incredible what they do with our kids, and our faculty, and our non-educational administrators. If I had time, and I won't take the time, I could recount for you the number of instances in which people like Finance Lipinski or Jennifer Zuckerman have really stepped in and what the things they do to make the school what it is for our kids. And all of that is only possible because of their dedication and commitment, and the dedication and commitment of those of you who are here today to help us do what we need to do to keep the school a vibrant community. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the process, how we got here. Michael gave us some of that background before. What I will say is, in thinking back, and Larry and I have spoken about this over the course of at least 2 years now since we finished this process. What really stands out is not the lengthy negotiations or discussions or strategizing in terms of how to get there, but the relationships that we were able to build on and the relationships that we developed. And without those relationships, this wouldn't have happened. And Michael alluded to some of those relationships with the Aspen Hill community, relationships with the larger Jewish community, the Jewish Community Relations Council, and the non-Orthodox Jewish community coming together in support of what was important to us is something that I won't forget, and that really deserves continual recognition and appreciation. The support that we got from our elected officials, from Mike Leggett, the county executive, who was committed to making this happen, to Dutchie Trachtenberg, who was our champion on the county council, which was not necessarily, in fact, it was not a sure thing by any stretch when we first started this process. And without her support and dedication, this wouldn't have happened. To Bonnie Cullison, our state delegate, who, before she was even elected, we approached to ask for help. And for those of you who don't know Bonnie's background is in the public schools, with the Teachers Union, with the Educational Association. This was not an easy thing for her to do. I mean, she won't tell you that. She'll say, oh, it was clear cut, this was the right thing to do, it was the moral thing to do. But it was not an easy political thing for her to do. And her support gave us incredible credibility with the decision makers and really helped make it happen. So thank you both, Dutchie and Bonnie, for that. And I think on this day when we're here to dedicate the mural it's not really launch, but to officially, formally launch our ground purchase campaign. It's important that we remember those relationships because it's those relationships that got us to where we are, and hopefully those relationships will continue to sustain us in the years to come. So thank you.
Co-chairing this campaign with me was Louis Mayberg, who both of us looked at each other and said, we don't want to do this. But here we are. Louis,
You're always have a way of saying he's Michael. So I have the great pleasure to tell you today that on Friday, with the great leadership of Jennifer Zuckerman, our director of, what is the exact title? Development director. And of course with, actually we did all the heavy lifting, Mervyn Myers, who came to us as a grandparent of the school, right? And you're working and heading up the campaign with Jennifer, and he has tirelessly followed up and made calls and sent letters and come up with the entire plan that we set into motion. And on Friday, he informed me today, we went over the 70% completion. Which means now the heavy work for Michael and I is about to really begin, because the last 30% is often the hardest part. So as well as we're doing, when I look at the breakdown, and I presume that you're being here today, it probably doesn't include you. Well, we've had good participation, particularly from our parent body. We need to really move it up. One of the things that's very important when you go out to people who are unaffiliated with the school or either never been affiliated or so many years removed because they might have gotten here themselves or they have children but they just have had no connection for many years, is that they want to see how engaged the parent body is in terms of supporting the campaign, the board, of course, and others who are closely affiliated, including alumni parents. So I can say with great pleasure that of the money we've raised, over half of it has come from the parents, as well as the board has really stepped up. And that leaves aside Michael and I as campaign chairs, which is part of why I guess you become a campaign chair, right? Is willing to write the first checks, but that's just to show that you're really behind it. So we need to build a little bit of an army here, and I would hope that might include some of you, that you can mention it to parents in the school that you know, that you came to this event, if you enjoyed it, if you think the mural was beautiful, but most importantly, how important it is to get the support of the parent body behind the Capitol campaign so we can finish it up and go outside and bring in those final gifts that will take us to the top. We've tried to make it as easy as possible for people to give. It's not all at once. You can stretch out your gift over 5 years, so you can really break it down so that it's not a significant burden. And of course, Michael touched on it. It's very important that we replenish the funds that we took, because we borrowed against ourselves and we borrowed from the Avi High Foundation, which of course needs their money back under the terms we agreed to, so that they can continue their very important work in the Jewish world. But this building is, lovingly used by over 700 students every day. And over time, things, as Dennis Berman has always told me, wear out. Air conditioners, just the floors, carpets, everything needs to be refreshed, replaced, because they get used, and that's what that money was there for. So we really need to meet our goal so that the school can remain the beautiful home for our children that it is. So now let's get on to why everybody came here, which is the dedication itself of the mural. I want to introduce here this morning, or just recognize the two men who were the vision behind the actual art itself. The first, if you can stand up, is Bob Hines. How it works is Bob conceptualized this, working with Jennifer, and then painted it and completed it. And as you can see when you walked in, is quite striking, and has been getting a lot of compliments from everybody who's seen it. So thank you very much for your vision and coming up with something that so enhances the front of our building. The second person who has made this piece of art so special is Seth Wiesel. And all of you may make your dedications. It's his ceramic work, it's the work of his hands that are so beautifully recognizing your gift, as you can see out front. And I will say this, we've been hearing as people were coming in, and I've been getting reports since the pieces went up a few days ago last week, that people are seeing it and saying it's so nice, and some people have even increased their gifts because they felt so inspired by what they saw. So we certainly would welcome that from anyone who wishes that. See or Ruben, and Michael and I would highly endorse that. So with that, I want to turn this back over to Michael, but thank you very much for your hard work and your continued guidance, as I'm sure it will over time need maintenance and other things. So we'll get back to you
This week.
as the sun will rise. But anyway,
We went through the entire program. So now we can go outside and just kind of admire the work that was done by our in-house artists and ceramic artists.
And there's more food.
And there's more food. One small disclosure: when Jennifer first presented this idea to me, I thought, a mural? It just was outside, thinking outside the box, which happens often with Jennifer. She thinks outside the box. But one thing about when you are in charge of development, you tend not to get enough thanks. So let's not forget to thank Jennifer and Mervyn.
I was just talking about, I just want to let you know, anybody that wants to increase your gift, we'll give you a free upgrade of the pledge.
And that is why we all love Mervyn. So thank you both. Jen, for you visualizing it and then pounding it in my head what a great idea it would be, and for the artist who created that concept, and Mervyn, for you just knocking it dead and saving Louis and I from sleepless nights. Thank you. And my wife, by the way, thanks you too. Let's go out and take a look at the mural. Eat more, let's look at the mural.